what made you really change your life from gang banging to trying to live positively?
My first wife. Aminette Atunde. She visited me in prison. I was in Rikers Island at the time. And we just had this baby girl. That was the promise. She was like, look, you gotta chill out, you know.
This was your first child?
My first child, Mahdi Atunde. I'm in prison. This is so demeaning.
Okay, and this is a different case you're in prison for?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was this case for?
It was for murder. I was being accused of murder.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I just was living a wild life.
Okay, and what exactly was the situation around that case?
Oh, I had a lot of, it was a lot of gang contention in Brooklyn. I had beef with people across the street from me in Brooklyn. So I'm on Rockaway Parkway between Winthrop and Rutland, and I have a shootout going on between the people across the street, my neighbors, in my street. So anybody that's in Brownsville at that time, 90s, or Rockaway Parkway in the 90s, everybody knows about it. And so there was a shootout between people on my side of the street and people on the other side of the street. And of course I'm implicated because I'm just known. So I was implicated in that as well. And so I'm locked up, and my wife comes in with my daughter, Mahdi. She's like a baby. And my daughter hugs me. She's never hugged no one before. She's a baby. So her first gesture to hug somebody happened in prison, and it was. Me, her father. And that's when I started hitting the holy books, right? I'm like, yo, send me my prayer book. I got to come up with something. Everything was out of my power, right? I don't have the same interpolation of God that many people have. Nonetheless, I knew I had to confide in something outside of myself that is also a part of me to connect with. So I asked her to get me this go book that the master teacher had wrote. And I said, I'm gonna commit these prayers to memory, the ones that resonate with me most, that correspond with this moment. And I just prayed and I just prayed and I just prayed, you know, connected with the universe. And I said, man, if the first step is me getting out, but I said, I'll listen to whatever comes my way. You know, I'll listen. I don't know what it is. So I wound up coming home. And what happened was, my wife, when I came home, she said, I want you to quit hustling. I'm like, okay. How are we gonna do that? Because I've managed to get a house. You know, nothing's in my name. You know, I'm riding dirty. You know, I got cars, I ain't got no license. I'm making it happen though. I'm feeling myself.
Right.
So I done dropped out of school already. I dropped out 10th grade. And I'm like, how you expect me to keep up everything I got going on? Well, she said, I got 2 jobs for you while you was in prison. 1 check is for you and 1 check is for me. You was in prison. 1 check is for you and 1 check is for me. You was in prison. 1 check is for you and 1 check is for me. And it obviously is not going to amount to what you used to making in the streets. Now, my wife at this time meant a lot to me because she was extremely ghetto. Extremely. So I can't have a conversation with her without her raising her voice, using vulgarity, or even inflicting injury to me, right? So for her to arrive at this particular point in her life, where this ratchet sister would decide that I'm willing to work 2 jobs, this paranoid sister, this sister who thinks I'm cheating left and right all the time, for her to decide that she's willing to divulge her time or invest her energy into 2 jobs and give me 1 check until I find myself. And if need be, she'll give me some of the other check. It's a true story. I was elated and flabbergasted all at the same time. And so I said, I'm gonna give it a trial run because you're gonna turn on me eventually. I know it. But I'll fall back. If you keep working those 2 jobs and giving me 1 check, I'm gonna find my way. I'll do it. So I made that deal with her. And you know, I snuck a couple times and still sold some crack. I mean, I was making weight at that particular time, so people can cop the work from me as well. So I reduced myself to trying to sell a little crack on the side because I still had stuff left. At least I wanted to get that off before I completely stopped.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she yelled at me, she caught me a couple times, but I ran out and I didn't re-up. And so 6 month stretch, all I did was read the books she kept buying me. And she just kept feeding me books for 6 months straight. I barely went outside. I went and cut my fingernails. I started growing my hair. And people was like, yo, you letting yourself go. What happened? You falling off.